order. It is 7 p.m. Central Time in Oklahoma. So we're going to get started. So let's go over the standard disclaimer first. Welcome everyone. This is a Viper Professional Training and Support webinar. Today's date is August 14th, 2023. This is a Monday night webinar. And the title of tonight's webinar is Trailing Stops Once You're in a Trade. Keep those accounts funded. And as everyone knows up into our webinars or our live trading room, everything that's said and done at Viper Trading Systems is for educational purposes only. Futures trading, Forex trading, any kind of financial instruments trading involves risk. Therefore, there's always risk of loss. You should only trade discretionary capital, and that is money that you can afford to lose. Nothing said in this webinar. Other webinars I have, live trading room or anything else with Viper Trading Systems, should never be construed as trading or investment advice. And as always, everyone does trade at their own sole discretion. Any questions on the disclaimer? Is there anybody in the room that could guess how many times I've said that disclaimer? If you do, you win a car. Nobody could, right? Because we have, there was a time we had 3 webinars a week and trading room and everything. So I don't know how many times I've said it either, but I've said it thousands and thousands of times. So nobody gets a car. All right, so we'll go ahead and start the webinar. Bear with me a second. I'll show you some charts. Now, one thing that I like to personally do, and by the way, my son's sitting beside me tonight, brought the kiddos over, and he's sitting in live on the webinar. And we were just going over a couple of things, just kind of what I'm going to teach tonight, as a matter of fact. When you look at your chart, you've got to know which way the trade's going, because if you don't, if you jump in along here and this thing's heading down like this, then, you're never going to hold on to a funded account. Now, keep in mind that whether you trade a funded account or your own money, it's virtually the same thing. The thing I like about a funded account or an evaluation account type trading is the fact that it teaches you some good discipline. Now, when it's your own money, you're usually too scared to trade it. That's what usually happens with that. When it's somebody else's money, it's a little bit easier to trade. But if you don't teach yourself certain things about your trail stops, then you're going to be given, account after account and not making money because, frankly, once a person's funded, if they draw down, it's over again. You got to get past those thresholds. So what we're going to talk about tonight is how to actually get into some of these trades and then trail it accordingly so that you can make the max on your money. Okay. Welcome. Yeah, Mark, you're welcome tonight. Thank you for joining us. Absolutely. All right. Anybody have any questions on that so far? Because the whole thing is, if you're trading and you're not getting in on the right side of the trade, then you're basically not trading correctly. Now, will you get faked out occasionally? Absolutely. My son and I got faked out this morning on a good long, and it seemed like it was perfect. Had higher lows, higher highs. It was a good trade setup off a mid-band, and it worked for about 8 ticks, and then they pretty much cratered it. But we were ready to go the opposite direction too. Did you get that too this morning, Randolph? Yeah, that can happen. By the way, one thing you want to do with your lightning on your chart, you should be able to see that you could more than likely, if this continues breaking, now you don't know if it really is, but if this continues breaking, can't use a black bar on a black chart, can I? Let's go ahead and change that. All right, if this was to break, okay, this support area right here, and then come back and kiss this area, this is what you want as a trader, okay? Now, let me ask you a quick question. If you were to get this trade and it rolled over on what I've got shown right here, where would you put your stop? Anybody? Well, what you can do is actually do lightning 1, and it's a little bit not quite such large swings on it. So basically, if this was to break, kiss, and roll, you could kind of say, well, you know what? That little area right here should technically hold for me. See it, that little swing? Now what I normally do is look to the left to trade the right, and I see a swing here too. See this little high, low, lower high, higher low, but it's still a swing, isn't it? So if you were to get in this trade, you could actually do something like this. First, you need the little pull down, then you need the kiss, and then you need the roll. Okay. Now, once you get in the roll, okay, yeah, you got to have it some breathing room, or you're never going to make money trading. Believe me. You know, they know where those swings are. They know where your stops are. So you got to give it a little bit of wiggle room. Okay. But if this was to start heading down, for instance, and let's say you're in one of those evaluation accounts or even a full funded account. Well, if you started with like 3 contracts here, let's say that you got filled somewhere around 83.05, maybe even 83.08 or something. We'll see what it actually does with our boxes here in a minute. Okay. But if you've got like a funded account or you've got one of those evaluation accounts, the moment you're, let's say you're even 10 or 15 ticks or something like that. Well, with 3 contracts, that's like $450, right? So if you're with somebody like Apex, to give an example, and this trade does something like this and then rolls over, you just drew down almost $450. Now, granted, if it got back down here, you're good to go, but you're kind of sweating bullets, right? I mean, we've all been there. I mean, anybody that trades futures, you got to trade price action, and they're going to get, if they get a high, a low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower lows, you're still sticking with it, right? But don't do it with all your contracts, okay? For instance, if you were able to get this trade here and you had 3 contracts, you're going to want to kind of draw a little trend line along those little lows and stuff, or pardon me, highs, and get out of that trade because it'll break and it'll kind of zigzag down. And when it breaks the trend line, you got to get out of all but one of them. Okay. Now, if you've got a funded account and you've got, you know, $50,000 above the threshold, don't worry about it. Put your stop up here because in that case, you would have to break, you know, a good lightning to ever take you out there. See what I mean? But if you don't have a large account and funded and a good threshold, then you don't want to put your stop way up here when you get in here, because obviously you're getting in, say, at 83.08 area. If it breaks down, that is, I'm going through illustrations, and your stop being all the way up at 83.20, 22 or something like that. Well, that's actually too much. Okay. But it's not too much if you're actually trading more the swings. Okay. So we're going to talk about how to do both the aggressive way and even more the conservative way. But if you want to keep those Apex and Earn Max and Lilus and all that funded, the best thing to do is take some profit. Okay, it's critical to making money. I'll actually show you a trade here in a little bit. It'll take a while to get there, that my son and I actually took, and we actually were in the loss for a bit. Okay, because we expected it to go up. It didn't. We had our stop at a swing and it got it. And that's going to happen to you too. Okay, but we also saw that it was a line in the sand long short, and guess what? We shorted it. Okay, so let me go ahead and go to a chart and I'll show you what we're talking about here. Now, first off, you do realize you diagnosed this chart. Okay, now keep in mind that we don't know where it's going from here, but what if it broke out here and decided to head up? Well, then you would wait for the exact same thing, except you'd be waiting for a pullback and another move. Okay, if it did that. Now keep in mind it could do either one of these, so you got to be prepared both ways. Okay, so let's go ahead and go into the regular chart and we're going to see. Now this was like 5 o'clock last night. Okay, this is the start of Sunday, and here's what you got. So let me ask you a question. You look at your chart from Friday afternoon and you say, wow, okay, what do I do here? Well, first off, you've got to wait for either a little thrust and a pullback. So draw on your charts and you'll see, for instance, that this right in through here, let's see, this area would have to hold on any kind of pullbacks, in my opinion, right? Now let's see what it actually does. Let's just go into and watch it in real time and see what actually happens. And we'll go from there. Remember, it's all about thrust and retrace. Don't trade the first of the market, by the way, because 5 o'clock on Sunday afternoon can kill your account. Let it do its thing first. It may break down, it may not. Okay, so you've got to do that. Let me see if we can get this going here real quick. Hopefully about 15 times will move it. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. Should we get any data on playback, or what's the deal? That's actually on the 12th. Yesterday was the 13th. We got to go a full 24 more hours. Just one second. We'll get this. Bear with it a second. I'll get it over there. I got this little deal crazy in my way on this thing. Now that should be close enough. That's like 506 right there. This is pretty much when the market opened. Okay. Let it do its thing for a minute, because you're at only like 5 minutes into it, and that's just a little bit of movement. See the little session line right there? So what you do is you start drawing on your chart and you say, okay, I've got resistance right here. Now they broke it and they've kissed it once, okay? Maybe this is going to continue down, maybe it's not. But this would be a little area to be looking for very possibly a trade. Okay, so we're going to let it do its thing first. Got to let it go at least the first 5-10 minutes anyway. Let's see, the chart on the screen is not changing. Bear with it a second. That did change right there, right? Got it? All right. So draw on your chart. One of the things you're going to want to do is draw your lightning 3, like so, and see that swing right there? Okay. Now they have taken it out and barely kissed it. So if it wasn't so close to the open, could you short that? Yes. But so close to the open, you know my old saying, I wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot vaccinated crowbar, because you can get hosed at the open. So don't do that. Wait for it to thrust and the pullback. Okay, very, very important. Let's see what it does here. And then what we're going to do is we're going to actually try to go ahead and see if we can not only get the trade, but to manage it so that basically you could hang on to your account. Okay, that turned out not to be a bad trade so far, about 508. Okay, but don't get to be that type that actually, jumps in and chases a trade. You got to get the thrust and the pullback. Okay, now notice how our mid band is changing colors. Matter of fact, that's session low, which obviously started out here, so that's session low right there. All right. So, and then we've got a tool called Object Trader so that we can actually get this trade taken. Now, we've also got a fib that we can use. Right here is a lightning 3, so let's just draw a fib from there. And I would like to personally see if this does start pulling back. This is a pretty small move, so I like the 50 to the 61.8. Okay, mid-band is very important, so draw a line there also. Okay, now once you've got your lines drawn and everything, what if this just thrusts on down and keeps on trucking? It might, but you want to be careful, like I said, getting in at the open of 5 o'clock, because I've done it before myself, and just all of a sudden, you're on the wrong side because they kind of whip it on you. Okay, we're retracement traders. Okay, we want to get a retracement, so we're looking for this trade to come up in this area right in here, very possibly 61.8 or 50%, and get us a little trade. Okay, now we've got a tool in here called Object Trader, so we're going to put that on the chart. By the way, your version of Object Trader is 2.78. I do have a little bit newer version, but it didn't really change anything but some logging features. Okay, so we'll put Object Trader on the chart. Now, what we could do at this moment, see, this is a 38%. I don't like that. That trade there, to me, it's got to at least come up close to this mid-band or this swing right here before I'm ever going to take this trade. Okay, be patient on your trades and you'll do pretty well. Okay, so let's see if we can get this back. Now, if it breaks, keep in mind, if this broke and really takes this out, who knows, maybe we can get a trade here instead if it breaks and then kisses and then rolls again. Well, we'd be waiting for a thrust, right? Grabbed a ray, didn't I? Or an extended line. There's the arrow line. So we could also be looking for that trade, but it's got to retrace. That's the key to it. If it breaks here, it's got to retrace, okay? So we're waiting for a retracement. Now, what we added recently to Object Trader is these trend dots, and they're pretty good because what we would be looking for if this was to come up in this area here or this 50 or this 61, and you'll notice that these fibs are moving as long as that price moves right there. These are real-time fibs, they're auto fibs. So they're pretty cool. And they'll kind of tell you right where to get in the trade, really. Okay, so we could simply say, you know what, if you retrace, we're going to go with a trend power dot. Okay, you want to go more than likely most times with at least a couple of contracts, or you're not going to be able to get those little scalp moves. Okay, so you just simply turn it on. See, this is short disabled right here. This is short enabled. And if that gets a power dot for us, it will go ahead and fire the trade. Now see, we're going a little bit deeper, so our fibs are moving. Notice that? Fibs are moving just a little bit. Okay, so let's move our line. Got a line right there at mid-band. And we should have one right about that 8308. And that is 8305 is the 61.5 fib. Okay, so what I do every time that I'm trading, and I think this is really important, is you've got to be ready for the trade to retrace for you and then get the rollover on a short and vice versa for a long. Okay, you've also got to know where the line in the sand long short is, because what if this decided to change trends? Well, right this very moment, I kind of see, let's look at lightning 2. See if we can get lightning 2 to draw. And I kind of see a line in the sand long short right through here myself. See your little 1, 2, 3. I kind of see it right through there. So again, that's right at resistance. So if this was to break, come back and kiss and head up, we take a long. Okay. Let's see if we can get something though. We've got little trend dots on. I'll speed it up just a little bit and see if we can get something. We'll go, like I said, with 2 contracts. Now, one thing you can do with Object Trader also, okay, if you want to get 10 ticks on your first trade and maybe try to go for a runner on the second one, you just simply change these to whatever you want, okay? Now, look to the left and trade the right, though. If they did decide to break, I'd see it probably coming down to this area here, right? So what you want to do is you want to kind of figure wherever this enters, that's where you want that target, okay? Let's see if we can get a trade. This evidently is really, really slow in the evening like this, but that's okay. Everybody seeing what I'm talking about here, though? Now, notice if you would have gotten short at 5 o'clock, yeah, you made a little bit of money, but notice that it's already retracing a little bit, okay? 61%, 8308 is a really good area because that's support and now it's resistance. So that's a good area. And you could do it another way also, and that is to use the little auto region, because the auto region, what it'll do, it'll draw this little box like this. And as long as it doesn't take out the bottom of the box, you're not really looking to short it. And what you really want to usually do is go ahead and put that a couple, maybe even 3 ticks under it so you don't get faked in. I don't like a 38% retracement, so I don't like that box. We're not taking that box. Okay? Always, always, always diagnose your charts to see where the fibs are. That's the whole reason that I designed these auto fibs with my programmer. And I don't know of anybody else that has auto fibs but us. It's a pretty good deal. All right, let's go back to trend power dots. See if we can get a trade. We're getting close. There was one right there. Missed it. See if we can get something. Still nothing yet. It's got to get past that 38. I don't like a 38% retracement on that short of a move. They work sometimes, yes, you know, a few ticks. But if you'll wait for these 50s and 61s on this shorter move like this, you'll do so much better in your trading. 38's a no-go, 50's okay with me, 61's even better. See that right there, 61%. Now it might go a little bit higher. And hey, you could even go one more contract if you wanted to. There's 83.08 right there. See how easy that is? And if you actually just draw on your charts, you're going to get these trades like this. Now, notice that, well, this is going a little fast. Let me slow it down just a little bit. Okay, now, this is key to making money in trading right here, because so many people will go, wow, I'm up, 60 bucks. Now I'm down 60. Doggone it, I'll hit the close button. You can't do that. You got to stick with the trade that you get into. Otherwise, you're not going to make money trading. Okay. Now, if this does start stair-stepping down, I want to show you something that's really powerful, and that's lightning. Okay, because lightning is just the little swings, but you can also set it as your stops. For instance, would you take your target here, or would you want it more like down here? Why give them? You see what I mean? This is rolling over now, so we're safe on this trade, right? Put our stop right there. We could even move our target based on where the swings are. Okay, there's a swing right across here, right here. Well, sorry. Oh, come on, line, move for me and quickly. There we go. Right there, that would be a good spot to take some coin, ABC type move. They're checking it, okay? Now, if you're the type that just wants to get funded, like with Apex or EarnMax or something like that, once you get to a figure like this, my son's sitting right here next to me, and it's like, take the money, because you're already up on the trade. But if you want to make real good money trading, you want to kind of do like a runner, to give an example. Like here's another area that I would think they would more than likely hit again. See it right there? And then though, take this little puppy out of the way. Matter of fact, you can even delete it if you want to. Okay? Because now what you want to do is you want to see if you can figure out where the little swings are. So let's draw our lightning on the chart. I'm going to show you how to do this. Now don't go with lightning 3, because lightning 3 is too big. Okay? But how about lightning 1 or 2? We'll just draw it. There's lightning 1. So he's saying, okay, we've got 2 still on. That's kind of a swing area that should hold, right? Now, if you've got 2 on and you want to take 1 off, just simply change this to 1 and then kill one of them. Okay? You can even do this if you want. Move both targets. You'll make more money that way, and then put your stop just above the swing. See how lightning's stair-stepping down so far? Now, will it take us out? Well, they're barely taking that bottom out right there. So let's see what they do. Okay, got a little low, a little lower low. There's a high right there. By the way, you can even put your stop like even the previous swing to the left if you want to, which is right across there instead, just a little bit higher. See it? Right there. But as they start stair-stepping, then you want to start hanging on to some money. Okay? So what I like to personally even do is draw a trend line on my chart. Now, you don't have to trade it with the trend line trader, but you can if you want to, because we have a little trader in here called Trendline, and the Trendline trader is called Wedge. You put it on your chart. I like to get one of them out of my way. Always make sure you know which one you're trading though. That's the bottom button, that's the top button. So if I simply do this, bring my line down like this, then that's pretty good trend line so far, but it may tighten up even. You see what I mean? So I could actually say, you know what? I've got 2 contracts left. If you break my trend line, I'm going to take off maybe a contract. Okay, let's see if it goes a little bit deeper, and we'll see if we can get a little roll again, and we'll redraw our trend line. Now I can watch it just manually and hit the close button, or I can simply draw it on my chart. But see, right now, that is your trend line right there. If they'll go ahead and roll up a little bit and give us another one, we might be able to draw a tighter trend line. Let's see if we can. So kind of draw from here to here. See where that is right there? Now, if that takes out that trend line with even like 1 tick, you could go ahead and take a contract off. Now, this is the way to hang on to your funded account pretty well. Okay, see how that's right at that wedge. You don't know how low it's going to go. You know, you're just trying to trade it. So if it takes 1 out, we'll be with only 1 left. That's a wedge. I think I just did the wrong way. Should have taken that off, but anyway, we'll redraw it because I missed it. Go ahead and redraw it there. And this will take you off if, let's see, we'll take that one. And that one there will go long inside, which means that it would have to go above the line. See how that works? Look at the difference in your P&L rather than just getting out of a trade. Okay, your lightning also, by the way, you know, draw your lightning on your chart and you'll be amazed at how long you can stay with a trade. So you got a little low, a little high, a little lower low, not much. Okay, could that be your stop? Keep in mind that even this little trend line, even though my stop's way up here, this can still take me out of this trade if I just simply change that to 2 contracts. That's all you have to do. Okay? So notice though that by trading like this, see, for instance, if you had an Apex account, okay, you're not drawing down a lot. Now, would you draw down a lot if you said, well, you know what, I'm going to put my stop way up here. This thing's going to go to the floor. I'm happy with it. I don't care. Well, another way that you want to do is you want to do your measured move, okay? Measured moves are really, really good. And I like, see that kind of double top, triple topped up there. So there's a measured move, thrust, retrace, thrust right there. This is another one right here, thrust, retrace, thrust. And here's even another one here, thrust, retrace, thrust. So you draw on your chart the thrust, the retrace, and the next thrust. See how easy that is? Okay, now notice we're in 1, okay? Now, if this goes ahead and takes out this little swing, we could get out of this trade. But now that I'm totally protected on this trade, do I need to really take this off the table yet? The answer is no, because it's not breaking lightning yet. Okay, let's go ahead, we'll get rid of the wedge. And let's do another way to do this too would be, you could put a region auto above it. But see, since we're only in 1 now, you probably want to just hang on to this trade, don't you think? Because here's the key to it too, okay? If you have 1 contract left instead of 3, then if this does pull back a little bit, you're still safe on this trade, okay? But where people end up losing, you know, like an Apex or a Lilu or something like that, is because they go off the high. They don't let you draw down. Because if you draw down, you're not their kind of trader, okay? And if you end up getting out of trades and then getting into the wrong spot and all that, you will draw down, okay? But the key to it is to let the lightning just go ahead and do its thing, okay? Very, very important just to let it do its thing. You can see that it's not ready to take off the table just yet. Let's see, just 1 second. Gary, slow a bit, please, on OT. You make us very confused, touching everywhere so fast. I apologize for that. Shouldn't the LD button be on? Well, we already took it off. See, we already got out of that one. See, we're only in one now. So now we're riding lightning. What we were trying to do with taking the extra one off was simply so that we didn't let it retrace with two contracts, say 15 or 20 ticks. Because, just to give an example, two contracts, if you retrace 15 ticks, is $300 drawdown. Okay. Now notice that you're in a trade right now and you've got a swing that's clearly identified right there at 56 as soon as they take out this low, if they take out this low. Okay. So can you stay with a trade as long as lightning does what it's supposed to do? The answer is yes. Okay, we've got another tool in here too. Let me show it to you. This is kind of cool also. I've got a lot of tools in Object Trader, and you need to learn them as far as that goes. But we've got another tool in here that's called the minor short. Okay, and you click this, and it draws these little purple-looking bars. See them right here? This is telling us where these support and resistance levels are. Now, wouldn't you be mad at yourself if you got out of this trade already? See, because it's still stair-stepping the way you want it to. Okay, and key to making good money in trading is to let the trade do its thing. Okay, look to the left to trade the right. You can clearly see you got support right there. They're almost at it. Could you take the money off the table then? What if it goes down another 50 ticks? So the whole thing is, what you want to do is you want to ride the lightning. Okay, I'll draw lightning 2 even on this chart. Shift key, there's your lightning 2. Okay, so this is kind of telling me right here that I probably would only want out of this trade if it takes out that swing right there. See that? Now, is it going to take out that swing? We'll find out. We'll go ahead and get rid of the wedge. Did it take out the swing? Yes or no? It didn't, did it? So why would we want out of this trade? Is it stair stepping down like you want when you're shorting something like this? Correct? The dog just came in the room, just a second. Sorry about that. The dog just loves this room. She sneaked in here. She's gone. She thought it was time for a snack. Okay, see how this is doing right now? See the lightning? Could you put your stop just above that swing? Yes or no? Now keep in mind, if you had like 3 contracts, that's a little ways up. But what if you just had this one running and you said, you know what? I'm going to just keep this little puppy until it gives up the ghost. That's key to trading right there. That's why so many people will end up blowing a Apex account or something like that, because they don't consider, a good runner. Now, do they all do this? No, it could have stopped us out real easily, but we would use the same thing. If it takes out these little swings, you're flat. So your swing right there. Now, is it taking your swing out right now? A little bit. See if it'll make one more move. Or would you have taken the coin off the table? Well, there's an ABC type move. We'll see if we can stay one more time. Nope, see, took you out. Okay, now don't leave your stop up here, obviously, when it does this, because you're flat now because it took out this line and that line. See what I mean? Okay, now look where your line in the sand is on this chart. I want to teach you a little bit about line in the sand too. Let's get rid of the lightning. Notice though, let's go over a little bit first. I'm going to slow this down a little bit so I can teach you this. Okay, if you notice on your chart right here, where was the line in the sand long short on this chart at the time I was talking? Can you see it? You have a high, have a low, you have a lower high, lower low. That's kind of the same low right there to me. So this is pretty much your line in the sand long short. Is that a mid-band trade? That's one that we teach right there all the time. Can you write it exactly the same way with your lightning? Absolutely. Well, if you wanted to, put your stop right underneath the swing. See how easy that is? But where did this change trends? Notice that our software caught it, okay? We're retrace traders, so we didn't take the break, we took the retrace. Now in the trading room, I take the breaks a lot of times and I'll call them in the room because we would have taken this little puppy right across there and you can clearly see it over here, okay? Because that's your swing, all right? Let's see if we can get a little trend dot, little power dot maybe. We'll just go with power dots instead of trend dots. Now we got 3 on, that's probably good enough. Now let's see if we can stay with this trade as long as should be possible. And it's all about lightning, right? So we're gonna watch the lightning on the chart. Let's see, where did we break down? Well, we broke down right up in through here, didn't we? Big time. So that would be a pretty good target area right through there. Okay, look at that go. Could you take one off? Well, we've already got one off already, so we're good to go. See how that works? Now, this actually pretty much went up a little bit more because my son and I actually traded this, but not at 2 o'clock in the morning, okay? And I want to show you the trade setup and see which direction you would have taken the trade to, because frankly, it was absolutely a long trade, okay? Now look at your lightning again. Let's go ahead and draw lightning 1. Lightning 1 swings right there, lightning 1 swings right there. Could you protect your coin just simply like that? That's, keep doing that. That's your lightning swing right there. See it? There's another one starting right in through here. That's a tight stop, but that is a lightning swing that's getting ready to set up. Now, if you can trade like this every day of your life, okay, and just pick and choose your trades. You don't want to just jump into anything that's going on out there, because believe me, you won't make money if you do. Okay, little swing up here. Let's see if we put our stop right there. See our swing? That'll protect our coin. There's another little swing if we want to get really gutsy, and if it takes us, it takes us. We can do that. And we're out. Okay. Did it take this lightning out? Not yet, but that was starting to consolidate, so I usually get out of those. Okay, now I want to fast forward this though, because when we traded, it was 6 a.m. in the morning, and I'm going to pause the screen because I want to show you what we saw. And keep in mind, you can see it just like we did. Bear with it a moment. We're just letting it run. 4 o'clock in the morning. Almost 5, not quite. And then I'm going to show you. Keep in mind, I'm not showing you the screen on purpose because I want you to call the trade. Okay. Now, let's look at our lightning. We drew on our charts. Can anybody tell me where the line in the sand long short is on this chart right this very moment? Because if you can, you're going to be a better trader. Okay. I'm pretty sure we got in right through here and we were up like 80 bucks, and that was it. Okay. But if you draw on your charts, now see, we got up 6 a.m. So I accidentally fast forwarded a little bit further, but I'm going to show you the trade we actually took today, because we were both on the phone together right at 6 o'clock. That's what we saw right there. Okay, so we went long above this little swing. It was a higher low, okay, right here at 85 area. It went up as high as like 97, and then it pretty much didn't stay there, okay, went up a little bit higher. There would be your stop right there, right? But let me ask you a question real quick. On this chart, if you got up and you saw this, where's your line in the sand long short on this chart? I'll show you how to diagnose it, because if you can start seeing this 1, 2, 3 action, you'll be able to tell. Okay, so let me show you the first one that we saw, because frankly, at 6 o'clock, okay, this was at this area right here, right? So this is what we saw in real time. Said, okay, we've got a high, we've got a low, we've got a lower high, lower low. Bingo. Okay, that's telling you this area is kind of your line in the sand long short at that moment. Okay, then they double topped and you go, okay, I got to count it again. So you have 1, 2, 3. This became your line in the sand long short. When I was trading with my son this morning, I said we've got 73 as our line in the sand long short, and we've got 67. Okay, because the whole thing is you got to be ready to trade these. Okay. Oh, Kay, I can actually show some ES also, but keep in mind this is price action. What I'm teaching here will make it to where you can trade any chart at any time by simply watching the swings, because we're literally swing traders. You know, we don't trade like swing traders do. You know, that guy go like say 3 or 4 days at a time. No, we're talking about little micro swings. Okay, so let me go over this with you real quick. So you basically had a line in the sand long short right there. Okay, if you shorted this one, which was 1, 2, 3, if it breaks this, you had support right down here. So this is pretty much your line in the sand long short still. See that? Because if you shorted this at 73 to get to 67, that's only 6 ticks. And what if they gave a higher low? Then they would be heading up again, right? So this is your line in the sand long short. So when we went long and we were up about 80 bucks or so, this is what happened. It took your lightning out. Okay. But I want to show you, and this was in real time this morning. I'll just max this out just real quick and I'll show you what happened. Now watch your line in the sand. Now let me ask you a question. Is that breaking down now? Yes or no? So could you have shorted this little box? We did. Okay. So the key is when you're trading is what you want to do is you want to make sure that you're on the right side of the trade. Okay. You got to draw on your charts, because you would have thought that, hey, this was just heading up, right? But it double topped, triple topped right across here, and it could not take out 9. When was your first hint that it wasn't going to go up anymore? That was when it hit this 83 and started rolling over. But keep in mind that did that in like a split second. So it took you out of your trade and you didn't make any money on it. Okay. Now, if you held it till it broke here and then shorted it, you had to make some coin up. Okay. Best way to do it would be to get out when the lightning struck, so to speak. But if you had your stop at like 73, just in case, it still took it out. Okay. Now, let me show you something here of what actually happened. And I'll show you how to stay in a trade like that, because we're going to draw the same lightning. We're just going to do it more, not as it's trading, but more after. I'll show you. This is right about when the room opened right here. Now, let me ask you another quick question on here. What if you get a higher low on here and don't take out this low here? Well, what you want to do when you're trading these mid bands, for instance, if you took this trade, you got a monster trade. By the way, what my son did today, he likes to do $300, profit, and he's good to go. And by the way, that's pretty smart, because he's been trading his little Apex account for 4 days last week, because he didn't trade Friday, 1 day today, and he's up a little over $1,300. So he's $1,700 away from a full funded account without ever drawing down, by the way. Okay, without drawing down where it hurts you. Okay. Now, let me show you something here. Where's your line in the sand long short if they decided not to take out this little swing right here? Because we see this all the time. Right at the open, oil. takes it down just a little bit. There's your line of the sand long short right through there. See it right there? Now, could you have taken that trade? This is called a phantom trade right here, by the way, okay? But was this clearly starting to stair step up? And that's the key to it, okay? When you get in like, and like you're holding something near the open, for instance, be sure and get out of your trade, because I can tell you this, that they can be heading down all night or they can be heading up all night. And a lot of times they'll just change directions. And they did just that this morning. That was a beautiful phantom trade right there. Now, what did I talk about the fibs earlier? Let me show you what the fib was on that. See this fib right here. Now keep in mind this went up a little higher, so I need to use their fibs instead of mine. Right here is their fibs. There's 61% retracement right there. And what did I say earlier about smaller moves and 61% retracements? Perfect trade setup. And by the way, our little trader would take that. See that blue dot right there? That would take that trade right there. Turned out to be a nice trade. Okay. But keep in mind, again, you're just simply going to stay with the stair stepping. You know, we're swing traders, you know, that we want to make sure that we stay with these little swings as they go up. Right now, for instance, this is an uptrend, right? So let's slow it down just a little bit and let's see if everybody in the room can pretty much figure out where to put your stop. See how it's doing? Is that a pretty good way to keep a stop? What do you think? What about under this swing right here? See it? A little high, low, higher, high. Another one right there, see? So let me ask you a question. If you got in this trade right here with a phantom and held on to this trade with this line right here and they just took you out, would you be up? Let's just see how much you're up. 82.59. Let's say you got filled at 82.58. Okay. So basically you got in at 82 even, you got 59. That's a 60 tick trade. Okay. So even if you took one contract off at the swing and rode a runner and got out right when it started stair stepping, then guess what? You made 59 ticks. Okay, now if you would have drawn a measured move, you might have even done better than that. Okay, let's draw a measured move and see. That's a thrust. That's a retrace. Measured move was right there, so it took it out with a vengeance. That's a good trade. So 59 ticks. Now, let me see if you can tell why you would take it out at that 59. Anybody? I know our Viper traders know. You had a high, you had a low, you had a lower high, and a close bar. That would change this to red. Okay, so that was your out right there, 59. Okay. Also, you had this high, low, higher high on the left side of the chart. And if you even put your stop right there, that was still out. See how swings work? I'll draw it for you if you don't see it. See there? That's your lightning swing. That's where you can save a lot of money on your Apex account, your Lilu, your EarnMax, whatever you're in, because you're going to ride these things until they give up the ghost. Okay. Now this one happened to come back a little bit deeper, closer to mid-band, but you're still looking at the swings. You're not looking at price. Or, you know, in other words, looking left to trade the right, that was a high, that was a low, that was a higher high. They break that, they're not heading up anymore. Everybody see that? Definitely the way to trade. Okay. Where's your line in the sand long short on this trade right now? Well, you got kind of one right through here. Right there. And you always want to make sure that you draw on your charts. But hey, what if you had gotten this trade that was clearly taken by my son and myself? And I know some of our people took the same trade because at the time it was heading up when we got up. Okay. But then it headed down. Then it broke to the upside. and it gave you a perfect 61% retracement. Even a couple of ticks under it, but that's a 61% retracement in my opinion, and I box those in. And our little trader will take that right there on that little dot too. Okay? Now, how many of you trade like this every day instead of, just holding and hoping for the best? Because keep in mind, if you get to a good amount on your P&L, would you just keep trading this? What do you think? Would you keep trading, or would you say, you know what, that's 22.20 for the morning, you're up nicely, you could just quit, right? Because you got taken out up here. Now you got to look at your fib again. So you turn it on. That's a pretty good move. I don't personally like a 38 as much. There's a 50 right there at a phantom area. That's pretty much kind of an area that I would be looking for instead. Right? Now, can you look at a chart though and tell where it's going to head the other way? Because you'll be able to once you see these charts the way we're doing right here. Okay, notice that you have a high, you have a low, you have a lower high and a lower low. That's kind of telling you, they're trying to break down, but they haven't done it yet. We kind of box it in right through here. Let's see if it ever breaks. Starting to break, isn't it? Let's see here if it does. It's a little phantom. There's your line in the sand right there. High, low, lower high, lower low. See right through here, and you bounce right off the phantom. So did that ever break down? No. No. And if we would have been where we had audio with GoToWebinar this morning, that trade would have been absolutely called. We had major issues with GoToWebinar today, and I apologize for those, but there wasn't anything I could do about it. It was just something that happened. Okay. Now, how many of you feel like after watching this webinar tonight that you could probably trade these phantoms? Is this a line in the sand long short? Well, kind of through here is for sure. Watch and see what happens when we actually get a trend change. I'm going to just turn it on max and let you see it. What's this? This will be pretty fast. See it breaking support. This is what we call a phantom to the short side, by the way. What kind of a fib was that? You want to check it? That was 61.8. Now, this looks to me like they're going to head up though, because see, you have a low, a high, a higher low, and a higher high. So could you actually get ready to box that in? But it is a phantom so far. We box this little trade in right here with a short, okay? And then you want to just simply see if this is going to take out this low and draw a trend line, okay? Now, by the way, has anybody got any questions? Because we're only about 7 minutes away. I called some other trades, by the way. When we got our GoToWebinar back, where the sound came back and everything, we had some good trade setups on crude oil, and they were actually called too. They're pretty good. Let me show you some ways to scalp. Now, so far, I've been talking about just holding on to a trade with lightning, but you can also just scalp. That phantom right there, a lot of our traders, that's a $200 trade. Let's see what it does. Heading up again. What is that? It's a mid-band trade. Could you take a chance on a trade like that? Stair-stepping mid-band? Absolutely, you could. And if you take a chance on a trade like that, just make sure that you put your stop nice and tight, just in case. But is that actually a decent trade setup according to the Viper tools and everything? Yes. Where's our line in the sand long short now? It's pretty much right through here. Okay, if they break that, they'll probably head down. Okay, let's see what they actually did. So we got a nice little trade, see there? Okay, where would you put your stop? You got in the trade in mid-band. You got a high, you got a low, you got a lower high right here. If it takes this out, are they going to continue heading up? Well, you can put your stop just under that swing. Or draw a trend line, because it has had a thrust and a retrace. Draw your trend line underneath your lows. If it takes it out, it takes you out. See there? Just took you out of one of your contracts, and you could ride your runner. Remember, we talk about just taking like one off. That way you're not giving up all your trade. Then you use your swings. You just keep riding the trade. Swing. See it right there? Another trade set up. Taking a little bit lower. Line of sand long short right there. See if it breaks it. Breaking down. Mid-band trade. By the way, that one was called in the room this morning. This little trade right here, that was called in the room this morning because we were watching for it. It broke down, stair-stepped, and this little trade, if you were in the room this morning, you saw this little box right here because that's where it was drawn. Okay? I'm hoping this is helping some of you out because the key, again, to keeping a funded account or passing an evaluation is you can't let these trades go major against you because it will eat your account up. Okay? Once you get past a certain threshold, go with Lightning 3. You know, that's fine. But keep in mind that until you get past that certain threshold, anytime you've got a 24 tick pullback from shadow to mid-band, that would be a $720 retrace. And that's pretty huge. Wouldn't you just like to make $720 on every trade? But you won't if you don't actually use the Lightning method and stay in your trade only if the trade goes your way. Okay? Just like I was saying earlier, my son and I took this exact trade earlier. Sure looked like an uptrend to me. I've been trading for, well, 25 years or more, but 13 years futures alone. But we also knew where our line in the sand long short was. So anything above that, we were looking for longs, and it faked us in. 6 o'clock, it faked us in. But it never took out those highs. Okay? So learn to see those signs, and you'll be amazed how much more money you'll make. My son went ahead and took $300 because that's kind of his goal. He wants to $300 his way to his funded PA account. I rode the trade down with Lightning, and that turned into a little over an $1,100 trade. Okay, so if you'll learn to see this in real time, you're going to do well. Okay, any questions? Any questions? Let me see if I missed some. Can I let my son say hello to the room? Yes, he's going to say hello right now.
Hello, everybody.
That's Randy. That's my oldest son. Actually, my only son. My oldest son and my only son. Well, the new trader with the fibs box in the 61.8 are not quite there yet. Hi, Randy. Okay. Well, basically, if you'll learn to see on these shorter moves, those Fibonacci's like that, I think you'll do pretty well. But also keep in mind that you can simply trade a few trades right there in the room and do pretty well, because even before the room opened, this little trade right here was monster. Okay, that's all you needed for the day. But when would you have gotten out of that trade? Well, when you started getting a low, a high, a higher low, and a higher high, or a trend line break, right? So Gary, on that short, it never pulled in the mid-band, so would you take it with the dots? You're talking about this last one, Mindy, right here? This one right here? That one came into mid-band. He's the banker. He's the one the cops have to, keep the bad guys from stealing from. He's laughing. All right, let me see if I got any more questions. We so many do not. I'm not sure what you're saying, Kay. By the way, anybody that was invited this week, you're also invited to the Online Trading Central webinar tomorrow that I'll be doing. And basically, I'm going to just kind of go over some of the features of Object Trader and our room and things like that. Okay, let me see here real quick. Kay, I hope you show ES charter trades too. Let's take a quick minute and look at ES, and then I'll wrap because it's right at 8 o'clock. Okay, this was 8:30 when your market opens. So let me ask you a question. By what I've been teaching just a few minutes, you have a low, you have a high, you have a lower low, you have a lower low here just barely, lower high. So this is kind of your line in the sand long short right through here and through here, right? So let me ask you a question. If that was to break that area, would you go ahead and go long? ES is a good instrument to trade too, by the way. You know, you've got a lot of mid-band trades through here, mid-band trades through here. But look at this at the open where they just kind of popped it, took it down a little bit further, but look at your line in the sand long short. And what are they doing? Mid-band changes, you're thrusting up. So what are we? We're retracement traders. Let's see if it actually retraced. Yep, mid-band. And if I remember right in the room this morning, I actually called that mid-band trade on ES. Does anybody remember that? Because why wouldn't you take that trade? It was a stair-stepping mid-band, a perfect mid-band trade. Let's see how much higher it went just for the fun of it. Took you out right there. There's a phantom trade. Phantom so far. There you go. There's phantom trade. There's 10 ticks. Where's your line in the sand long short? Right through there. Classic phantom trade. I know I called that one in the room this morning. Well, let's see. That was, yeah, because I kept the room open till 11, remember, today. So that trade was called too. Okay. The beauty of our trading room is this is not after the fact stuff, except in a webinar, I can only do playback because there's just not enough movement. But if you were in the room this morning, you would have heard this trade, you heard that trade, you heard those oil trades, you even heard some gold trades. I'll show you some gold trades that set up this morning. Where was your line in the sand long short at the time? Okay, you had one right here, and you had one right here. Did it break line of sand long short? That trade was called in the room this morning too, or at least I drew on my chart. I'm not sure if you got it, but it was a good mid-band trade. Okay, did same thing on which one, Randolph? Was it gold or ES? Go ahead and hit me with, just a second, let me go up on the question log here. Go ahead and hit me with that one, Randy, and let's diagnose it real quick and then we'll wrap. When can you get the new fibs, Ron? Are you saying your fibs don't go ahead and draw from the proper spot? Oh, I already talked about that one, Randolph. Okay, all right. Anybody have any other final questions? Because we're getting right at over an hour. So Gary, on that short, it never pulled in. Yeah, we got that one too. Let me see if I missed any others. When can you get the updates to the fibs? I'll try to get those on out. I've been testing and testing and testing to make sure that I don't have any errors. With the new traders with the fib box and the 61.8 or not, you can actually use those fib boxes too. They're going to be pretty cool. Bob says he took that Phantom with no audio on the oil. Yeah, we had major problems on audio. Bob says the audio is working, holy moly. Okay, well, I don't see any other. If anybody has any final questions, just type them in real quick. Now, Mindy, on your question, when you do break minor, and that's a very good question, by the way, okay? When you break what we call the minor swings, okay, like for instance right here, could you clearly see where you could take this trade long right across this area right here? Because you had a low, you had a high, had a higher low. Well, when they take this out, they're really no longer heading down. See where they break it and kiss it? That's where you take it. Will every single trade work out? Never. I mean, if you've been trading a while, you're going to know for a fact that not every trade will work out. But if you trade and do the rules that we teach and everything, you'll do quite well. Okay, let's go ahead and wrap. Thanks everybody for coming. Hope you enjoyed it. Um, I will try to go ahead and get the scripts out. I was hoping to talk to the programmer one more time just to see if he had any issues because I sent him several logs. Okay. And most of those logs that were sent were, they weren't the kind of errors that would shut you down. And some of them were, just like timing issues. That one kind of concerns me because I did mention in the room that one trader, uh, where I had a trade that fired in 4 milliseconds, had another trader that took 14 seconds to fire a trade, and that's too long. Okay. Thanks everybody. See you in the morning. Adios.